I say we have everyone here today. Looks like we do. All right. Rob, are we ready? Is Roger coming? Are we waiting on him at all or no? Okay. All right. In that case, I'll call to order this meeting of the Port Washington Board of Public Works. Looks like all members are present. So move on to item 2, approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Anyone have any comments or questions on the minutes? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll motion to approve.
We got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. There any comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Move on to item 3, public comments and appearances. Do we have any public comments or appearances? Yes, you can go up to the microphone. They should have a pad of paper to write down your name and address. Otherwise, please state your name and address.
Yes.
And we give you a nominal 3 minutes.
Okay. Alrighty. Good evening. My name is Hannah Peringer. The address that will be in discussion is 302 South Division Street here in Port Washington. We are just here to propose, essentially, we have a retaining wall that connects to the Mineral Springs Creek. It is falling, and there's been quite a discussion about it over the last year since the dam has been kind of opened. It's created sinkholes in the yard, which has ultimately kind of taken the integrity away from the retaining wall. There's been a lot of discussion kind of whose responsibility this retaining wall is. The city doesn't necessarily seem to have many records regarding the property in itself, the retaining wall. It is connected to the bridge that crosses Division Street, the whole sidewalk, the walkway, it's all kind of interconnected. So with the integrity of the structure as a whole possibly collapsing, us as the property owners, one, obviously we're concerned. But two, if it were to collapse, it is going to kind of stop the flow of the creek and potentially all the restoration and work that's been done over the last couple of years to the Mineral Springs Creek. So we just wanted to, I keep saying we, me and my sister own the property together. So we just wanted to kind of bring up the conversation and see a way forward with this retaining wall. Because from our perspective, unfortunately, we don't have the funds to keep this retaining wall up, and it doesn't necessarily stop our property from being functional and well-maintained. It will collapse, and unfortunately, that's kind of what we will have to allow to happen. Did I explain everything? This is...
Yeah, thank you. Okay. We're just actually discussing that particular box culvert as item 7. So we typically don't engage, directly with you in order to avoid getting off topic and it being problematic from a notice perspective. Okay. But with item 7, we will bring this up and discuss it there.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other public comments or appearances? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, Resolution 2025-13, recommending approval of changes to the Grafton, Cedarburg, Port Washington, Saukville Urban Area Boundary Functional Classification System.
Okay, and just to clarify a couple of things, so this is a this is a recommendation to the council to approve a resolution, so this is a council resolution. And the numbering may change because we are moving it off of the September agenda and we're going to take it up at the October 10th Board of Public or Common Council meeting. And I just I delayed it. I wasn't able to get some answers to some great questions that Alderman Gasper had about the item until later this afternoon. I was able to get a hold of the DOT. And so they do, if you look at the map that they provided, Alderman Gasper noted that they had inadvertently highlighted Landold Street rather than Van Buren Street and extending Holden Street. So they will make that correction. He also asked about the area. So the area goes up to, I think that, I do believe that is Lakeview and, or Lake Street, right?
It actually is not. Lake Street is the one right next to where KW is noted.
Which is,
So it's that's about a half mile south of Lake.
okay. In any case, I did talk to him about that when, so when we took this up a year ago, you know, we anticipated some annexations. Of course, we didn't foresee all of the annexations that were ultimately going to take place. But that essentially, he said, once the annexations are essentially codified by the state, that's something that will be reflected in the map. They revise these maps every 10 years. So we're already well into this decade, and so this will be taken up again. We should see this in about another 5 years, but it shouldn't have any bearing on any work that's being done north of the city. All of the arterials and collectors are already identified. There really isn't a lot of roadway that's being absorbed by these annexations, and so shouldn't really have any impact on us. If it does, he explained that it's not that it wouldn't be eligible for assistance from the DOT, but that it just simply falls into a different, it would fall into the rural classification rather than the urbanized classification. So essentially was told there's nothing to do with that. So anyhow, so the recommendation is that we're being asked to approve by resolution these changes to the functional classification, and they're noted on your attachment. Let's see if I can get this a little. So at first they just had a few on the north end, but then they added some that were requested down in Cedarburg. So you see them there because Port Grafton and Cedarburg are all part of this urban area. Each community is asked to approve the map by the resolution was provided to us by the state.
So all we're actually approving is the urbanized area, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so like the, making the comment on Landhold Street, that's really not what we're approving. That's just something DOT takes care of on in-house.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So, but this change, when it's brought to council, that change will be reflected in the map.
Okay.
Yeah, that, it'll be corrected for that.
All right. Yes, Alderman Tierney.
Would it be appropriate to, I'm just curious, I guess, would it be appropriate for us to make a motion to pass this pending those changes, and assuming that those changes will be
Yes.
at the time? Mm-hmm. Okay, then I would be willing to make a motion that we approve this with those changes being incorporated before it goes to council.
All right. You know, you haven't recorded
know-
what changes there? Yeah.
I know exactly. Yep.
All right. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, move on to item 5, consideration and possible action on award of the 2025 sanitary sewer lining project.
Okay, so we have a lining project in the city virtually every year. We've been trying to get more aggressive in our lining. And as in Roger's memo states that we had in 2024, we had 2 miles lined, and in 2025, we're proposing 1.67 miles. So this was put out for bids recently. You can see the 3 bidders, and Visu Sewer being the low bidder. The location of the lining aligns with our proposed street improvements for 2027 and hopefully 2028, but this is still pending. In 2027, we plan on reconstructing Holden Street with, oh wait, no, that's not, wait a second, I'm gonna make sure I have this right.
Webster?
Oh, yeah, I'm the one who's, yeah. Sorry, this does not align with that, but the one in the southeast, the southwest section of the city aligns with one of our upcoming street projects. And so Webster Street, that's right, when we were doing some televising on Webster Street, we noticed some problems with the sanitary sewer, so that'll all be lined. And then naturally, before any of our street projects, we'll also make sure that the sewers are lined before we do that work. So we always do lining associated with our street improvement projects, but we're trying to gain ground on our system, on our lining, and I think I don't have hard data to show it, but from what I've heard from our plant operators over the last 10 years, is they've seen a real drastic reduction in I&I with each storm event. So they think the lining is making a big difference in what we see for inflow and infiltration with our rain events. So, and obviously with lining, it improves the friction factor in the pipe, so you have fewer problems with something getting caught up and having a blockage, and it improves the capacity of the pipe to carry the wastewater, and again reduces the probability of a backup occurring in a rain event. So in any case, this is something I'm very happy that we've accelerated, and this is a budgeted item, came in under budget. The budget was $425,000, and the low bid is $370,911.25, and staff recommends award to Visu-Sewer.
All right, any comments or questions? If there aren't any, I will entertain a motion on this item.
I'll motion to approve as recommended by the staff.
All right, we have a motion by Alderwoman Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sudendorf. Any comments, questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to item 6, consideration and possible action on construction change order 2 at the water treatment plant. Our new all-powerful water and sewer guy,
Right.
Mr. Fisher.
All right, so this memo was shared by Roger and myself, and I apologize that it was 200 plus pages long. So we came here in February with our first construction change order. That was items 1 through 8. Change order 1 was the credit for the installation of the geopiers, and then 2 through 8 were various I would say problems that we had right away to start the project. And then the reason why you have such a large change order this time is SEH, our engineer, decided to lump a bunch of these together for the last 6 months, which we will not be moving forward. We're gonna change order by change order will be coming to you guys to get approval for. This won't happen again. Just some highlights on this one. Item number 9 is automated valves. So during the initial, I would say, inspection for this project, there were quite a few valves that weren't identified as being a candidate to be replaced, and also some valves that they didn't just think of adding into our process. So once August Winters, our mechanical contractor came on board, they kind of went through the whole plant and decided that it'd be beneficial if we added various valves for isolating pumps, automating our backwash system. So we ended up adding about 35 valves to our plan. So that was kind of a large one. That was about $191,000 change order. Another large one was, so when the project started, there was a bid allowance for the SCADA system upgrade. So the allowance was for 1.1 million. And once the project started, we actually got a bid in from Energetics at what that was going to cost. So that was actually around $900,000, so about $200,000 under the bid allowance. So that was a credit back. And then we had a valve allowance too. So because August Winters had to kind of look at everything, and SCH didn't know exactly what they all wanted to replace when this went out to bid, they decided to do a bid allowance for that. That was 1.3 million. The actual price on that is 1.1 million, and that's excluding the 35 additional valves that were added. So basically, we got all these change orders that equal, after all said and done, $65,000. This is still part of our credit that we have from the geopiers being installed. So we haven't touched the 5% contingency for this project yet, which is about $900,000. So we're still working on about $200,000 credit with CD Smith's price. So, any questions?
Yeah, since I wasn't on this committee at that time, can you explain to me, who is they? Are those the contractors that you're talking about, or the bidding process? Explain that to me.
They, as far as,
When you started out, about the valves, you mentioned they.
yeah, so SCH they're the engineer, so they are the ones who initially created the plan. So they kind of left it open-ended for the mechanical contractor to then come in and decide exactly what needed to be done.
And that's what this is, the mechanical contractors stating this is what we still need?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so was this money, when you talk about the credit, that was like that unknown amount that they put in there as a stop? Or as a identifier for that, is for the budget?
Correct. So basically for the valves, 1.3 million was allocated for valves, and then it was up to August Winters to deliver an actual hard bid on what the cost is.
Okay. Thank you.
Where did that original $200,000 GOP credit come from? How did that?
So originally the project was bid to dig the foundation, and when CD Smith came on board, they instantly said that there was a better method, and that was the GeoPier installation. So once they got a quote for that installation, it came in much less than what digging the foundation would have cost. So that's the initial credit back.
So this list doesn't include the garage expansion, does it?
That is correct. So the garage expansion is either ex-nade completely or just on hold for the time being.
Okay. Is there a reason for that after we were going to do it? Because it would save money to do it now, and now it's on hold? Because I thought that it sounded like we did have enough money in the contingency to cover that.
That is correct. Rob, you want to step in on that one?
Yeah, Rob, your microphone's off.
Yes, we proposed that, and internally, I think there's some hesitation to go that route, given that at the time we were considering it, we were in negotiation with the data center and their water usage, and so not knowing if we would need a plant expansion. And so I guess until we're certain where we're going with the plant in terms of its capacity and whether or not there's going to be any additional changes or any additional modifications to the plant to serve the data center or pending development, we are looking at all options, which one might be still to expand an area in the plant for a garage. It could be tacking it on to the street department's expansion. And in the meantime, we may need to rent some cold storage or something like that in order to, provide a garage for their equipment, because I think they're going to be parking outside this winter, or at least some of their equipment that I know they would prefer to have in a heated space. So I guess the answer to that is we're still working on what we're going to do with the storage space that we lost. We needed more storage space, and we've lost the storage space that we had because of the electrical equipment and the changes to the chemical, which chemical is it?
The 4090. So we're still going to be, whether this expansion happens or not, there will be a change order for moving the 4090 tank and then putting electrical inside the garage. So that stuff still has to happen. It's just where it's going to be put.
So at this point then, for that, any additional external expansion, like for the garage, are we beyond the point of being able to get any savings for doing it with this project? That it's going to, that ship has sailed? Because the exterior of the building looks like it's getting close to done.
I would say no. I think we still got some time.
Okay.
The exterior, yeah, it looks amazing, doesn't it? But honestly, that's just paint.
Yeah.
Right? So we could still expand if we needed to.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Dan, you said that we're not going to get this big of a group of an expansion of change orders all at once again. So you've told them this probably wasn't going to make all of us happy. Getting
Correct.
200 pages at
And
once.
this hasn't made C.D. Smith, the general, happy either. So,
okay.
yeah, it's
So they're aware.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Luckily, we've seen a lot of these before too, so it wasn't all new stuff to review. Any other comments or questions? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll move to approve the change orders as suggested.
We have a motion by Alderman Tierney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Haley. Any comments, questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
All right, that brings us to item 7, consideration and possible action on proposal to design a retaining wall for the Mineral Springs box culvert on Division Street.
Okay, so the box culvert on Division Street. So I don't know if if you drive down Division Street, you may not even notice that there's a box culvert that you go over and you cross Mineral Springs Creek, but there is. And when it was, well, I would say when it was constructed, there was no wing there, and it's been there for I don't know how many years. But in any case, there's been erosion on the southeast corner of it over time, and that we've been monitoring it and then looking at it again after this last storm. We've reached a point where it's starting to make me nervous about the condition of the sidewalk. So the sidewalk, which is shown in this picture, is still in place. It hasn't really shifted, but underneath it's largely undermined, or at least about half of it is undermined. So we've coned it off in order to support the fill under the sidewalk, which of course isn't too far from the street. We're proposing to extend the wing wall on the on the creek. And so the, and let me do this, especially in light of the public comments that were made. Let's go visit the creek. See if I can get a good image here. Might not be able to. So in any case, this is, boy, it might actually be helpful if I'll turn on a layer here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so here's the creek. And there's a box culvert that's underneath it, and that might even show up with my stormwater layer list. Does it show? No, it doesn't, so I'll just get rid of that. Okay, so there's a box culvert underneath Division Street, and there are wing walls that come out here and here. But on this side of the street, there's just an extension of the wall here. The problem is, if you can see this yellow line, this is the right-of-way, all right? This is only the street, which carries, a good bit of traffic, has only a 50-foot right-of-way, so we don't really have any room to work behind the sidewalk. So our proposal is to drive sheet piling and extend the wall. And so we solicited proposals from Collins Engineers, our structural engineer we work with on a regular basis, and R.A. Smith, a local engineering firm that has also done work for the city and has a good reputation, to provide proposals. R.A. Smith's was a little less expensive, and we felt they evaluated the problem a little more thoroughly maybe than Collins did. And so we're recommending that they provide the engineering work to extend that wall from the box culvert to the south, right here, and to support the sidewalk, because if we don't, we're gonna lose the sidewalk, and then we're gonna start losing the street, and then it's gonna be a mess. So in any case, so we do need to do this work. This is something that I think has been coming for a long time. Since I'm here, Ms. Pieringer, they own this house, right? Yeah. So, yeah, this is, okay. So there's a wall along the creek. The issue is, this isn't on city property, so we don't have any ownership of that land. I'll turn this off for a second so you can see it better. Put that one back, sorry. So, yeah, the property lines, like from this house, you can see, so this highlights, right? So you can see this is the property line for the person who lives at this address, and then this address, they share a property line, which is essentially in the middle of the creek. So the ownership of the wall, and unfortunately, the responsibility for the maintenance of the wall would fall on the homeowner. The preservation of the right-of-way is maintained by, a wall running along behind the sidewalk. And so that's what we're proposing to do on this side, where it's starting to, again, undermine the street. Over here, we're in good shape, and then on the other side of the creek, we've done some work there in the past to, to support the wall and improve the hydraulics of it. That's kind of the long explanation on the wall, so hopefully it wasn't more than you wanted. But in any case, we do, the images from here, this image here is looking down over the railing. It's really hard to get down there, and so that would be the best picture if you could stand here on the ground and look up. But there's a pretty good sized cavern underneath there, but there's no again, we don't own the property, and so I can't just fill that in, and besides, the DNR wouldn't let us do that if we asked. At least not without doing a lot of other work. So in any case, this will be the least expensive, most effective solution. Yeah, and so our recommendation is to move quickly on this so that we don't have cones sitting on the sidewalk for several months. Rather fix it as soon as possible.
So the county has been doing a fair amount of work on this creek. Do you know, because Andrew Struck has been doing a lot of efforts on restoring the creek. Do you know if he's been looking at this section at all on restoring the bottom or say the walls that are Ms.
Yeah.
Bieringer's issue?
Yeah, in fact, I just spoke to him today. I think the recommendation from one of the proposals we received was to place riprap underneath the creek because it's, or underneath the culvert because it's undermining the culvert. And so that would be included in this work. We'd expect the engineer to file the necessary Chapter 30 permit. I have not asked the county to pay for this wall.
I wouldn't
expect
I
he
probably wouldn't
would. I
expect
can-
him to pay for it, but he's been a good source at winning grant money that would potentially help with stuff like that. So that's where I don't know if you agree or not, but I think if she talked to Andrew Struck at the Ozaki County Parks and Planning Director, he might be the better source to try to find ways to fund her wall.
Okay.
Although I would imagine most of the grant money available would be for removing the wall, and that would be a lot of grading into her yard and potentially costing her garage.
Yeah, I think if we're to be honest, that it would be that exactly. That it would be, the stream bank would be naturalized and they would lose, I think they have a driveway, something of a driveway along
Yeah.
here.
They also have an alley in the
No, there's
back.
something-
Well, Montgomery Street's in the back.
There's something here. Is this a, do you know what this is? I'm pointing to like a, I don't know if it's a car.
That's just a camper.
Oh, okay, okay.
The yard, there's a sinkhole that's going all the way through, but we discussed it. The wall is moving
Into the sinkhole?
it'll be going into the creek. It won't be going towards our house. As our yard starts to go, we'll deal with that, but unfortunately, I think that the water flow is possibly going to be more of the issue where our yard isn't really going to keep degrading for a while. And that's kind of that's the concern is
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
were watching and seeing all the restoration and
I'll follow up. Just send me, so why don't you send me an email and then I can follow up with Andrew Struck and see what they might be able to do to help you.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a type of thing there are no cheap, easy solutions to it. But on the other hand, we have a little bit of a plunge pool on the downside of the culvert. So if it fell in at one point, it might actually help prevent the creek from eroding down any further.
I thought it, but I wasn't going to say it.
I'd say it's about 15, 20, 25 feet across, and the boulders that were placed by DNR a while back actually just started plunging into the sidewalk that was also built with it at the same time. And so all the that has eroded completely out. And so when I say there's not a lot sitting on it right now. So if one goes,
Yeah,
unfortunately, one would just be the section that would fall into that.
okay. All right. Yes, Alderman Tierney.
So she's referring to, there was you may know there was a realignment of the creek performed by the Ozaki County a few years ago, right in this area. This is south of Ravine, or I'm sorry, east of Ravine Street.
Just curious, Robin, looking at historic, I know those houses have been there a long time. Were the walls built, at the time the walls were built, do we know who built the walls? Were they built by the homeowners? Were they built by?
No idea.
No idea. That's what.
Yeah, and unfortunately too, it shows that you own the land, but if you'd ask to do anything with the creek, the DNR would tell you that they actually own it, but they won't own it for purposes of maintaining anything.
Right. I mean, regardless of who built it, it's not on city property.
Yeah.
I guess I would move ahead with the engineering, awarding the engineering bid at this point.
All right, we have a motion by Alderman Tierney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Haley. Before we vote, I'm going to note, as an employee of R.A. Smith, I am recusing myself from this vote, so please note that.
I have a question.
Yeah, oh, yes. Go ahead.
And we have money for this. It's within your budget to do so.
The finance director will be putting it in the 2026 budget.
Okay, so we don't have it this year, but we're planning for it.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, we may, because it's a fairly nominal amount, we should be able to get an early start on it. Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, we'll wait until it's approved.
Yeah.
We just won't necessarily have to wait until January 1st. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments, questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And note that I have abstained. That brings us then to item 8, consideration and possible action on revised agreement with WISDOT for STH 33.
Okay, so the letting for the resurfacing of Highway 33 is scheduled for next year already. So we've been planning it for a while, but it's quickly coming upon us. In any case, the city has requested a couple of left turning lanes to be added to the project, and so this revises our state municipal agreement with WISDOT to include these two turning lanes, and it also includes the installation of a rapid flashing beacon at the intersection of Sweetwater and Highway 33. And so, so the revised total city share is estimated now at $197,625, whereas originally, before we added these things, was $23,250. And since we have to have a left-hand turn lane in order to get into our police and fire building, and we anticipate imminent development of the property known as the Shannon Farm, which the city owns south of the Hidden Hills development, my recommendation is that Board of Public Works approve this SMA amendment.
Say, my first impression is that the prices seem a little higher than I would have expected, particularly for the engineering, because they're pretty much just grafting this onto a different plan set. Although they could argue that the environmental document became a little more complicated because of it.
I think that's what happened. And then I think they also had to go, I mean, they had to get more surveys since it was just a resurfacing. They had to get more detailed survey.
But
I had the same reaction.
isn't this more than what we pay for our all our street projects in a year for engineering?
Well, 197,000, but I mean,
Well, her nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
the total includes construction.
Yeah, right. I was thinking the 42,000. I thought that was close to what we pay Bremer for all our street projects.
Oh, not quite, but
No.
yes, for what you're getting, but as you know, the DOT process is a little bit more arcane than our process.
Yeah, they don't have to write up a CEC, which just got updated to make it 3 times as long as it used to be. All right. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion on this item.
I'd move to approve the staff recommendations on the, the revised agreement with WISDOT for State Highway 33.
All right, we have a motion by Alderman Tierney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Studendorf. Any comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That will bring us to item 9, review staff monthly reports.
All right, I'll just go over this quickly because I don't know that you've all read them, but in any case, I'll hit the highlights and certainly you can read them at your leisure. But I think on our first report, yeah, I highlighted that we had a visitor last month. Senator Tammy Baldwin came to learn more about our Valley Creek project. She's supported projects like this in the past, and of course, she's on the Senate Finance Committee, and so we are very interested in getting her on board and supporting the project to improve the sustainability of Valley Creek. And I think some of the work that we've even done thus far has helped us with flood control, and when we just had our 8-inch rain event. And so I think incrementally we're making progress on again having the city be more resilient when it comes to extreme weather. And then I lay out, essentially what happened in that event, and noted that, a number of the changes we made, I would say probably the one I'd highlight most is our retention pond in Spinnaker West. I think prevented some of the backyard flooding and basement flooding that we've seen in the past, north of Larrabee Street. And then, I think it also sheds light on our stormwater management requirements. So when we have developers come in, the meetings that we have with them, they complain sometimes that we have very strict stormwater runoff requirements. And so and we tell them, this is what it is. And so I think, yeah, right. Well, exactly, right? So, you can negotiate these things when the weather is dry, but, when we have events like this, we're seeing the benefit of holding developers to these standards. So a big, for instance, is the Northside development that we are anticipating with the data center. Downstream of that data center, if we didn't have these strict requirements, you'd see more runoff. But in fact, people who are downstream are now going to see less runoff because the release rate off that property is going to be the release from a 2-year pre-development storm. So think of a storm that is just a 2-year storm, which is, I don't know, probably 1.5 inches or 2 inches, something like that. In any case, so that's the release rate that we're expecting to come downstream from a 100-year event after development. So again, in the present condition, a 100-year event, all the runoff off all those farm fields, that's hitting downstream in Valley Creek immediately. We're going to be retaining that water on site. And so I think, downstream in Valley Creek are going to see a huge improvement by the development of that area. So, so it's been had a big impact on the way we manage stormwater in the city. I was going to say, I'll volunteer Dan for this anyway. They're really moving along at the water filtration plant, and if anyone is interested in taking a tour during construction, I'd highly recommend getting in touch with Dan and going to see it, because it's really, really interesting to watch it develop. So, and to really helps understand why we're doing it. And the rain event, again, also shed light on that. So the requirements, part of the requirements of the DNR that are triggering these improvements is our pumps used to all be below grade. Now they're above grade. And so, when there's a flooding event, if the building were to get flooded, the pumps and the electrical system, the motors would all be underwater potentially. They haven't been, but so this will again make us more resilient to extreme weather events. So some good things going on down there.
Ian gave me a tour about a week ago. If you guys haven't done it, it was really interesting.
Yeah, microphone.
Yeah, I did it. I did it about a week after the flooding event, so that was, yeah, I agree. It's well worth the time.
And he's responsible for wastewater too, so if you want
Get 'em.
2 for 1, you can do that. It doesn't smell as nice over there, but it's lot of action going on there too. So so moving on, it has been with the extreme rain event and being under construction, we did have some bypassing at the wastewater plant that have been reported publicly into the DNR, and we will soon be in full operation of our. This is where the majority of the work happens at the wastewater treatment plant. These are our aeration basins, and so one has been down, but we'll have. Let's see. Yes, this week we're getting full blower setup and instrumentation controls, and so we'll soon have all of our tanks back in action.
Just one question on the rain event with the wastewater plant. So the bypass that occurred was actually partially probably because it was the middle of the night, was actually cleaner than what our permit requires us to clean the water to be?
Oh, does it say that in the report?
Well, it says that at least particulate wise was lower than what we're required.
Oh, yeah, okay. And that could be because, right, when we have an overflow, it's 99% rainwater. And so, yes, what's being bypassed, sure, it's coming through the sanitary sewer system, but, less than 1% of it is sewage. So, I should say less than 10% of it is sewage. And so, and at least half of the 3 million gallons that we released had gone through the UV system. And so, it was partially treated. At the, I don't know if anyone made it to Venetian night. We weren't able to be there, but the Marine always has probably the most interesting report of our Public Works reports, in my opinion, but they have more fun than we do. So I don't know if there's any questions.
I actually had a question on the rapid flashing beacons near the library.
Okay.
And this is only because this happened when I was coming down the hill on my way here today. The one that was flashing and slowed me down, I stopped, but there was like nobody there.
Oh,
I don't know if it was just activated, and it seemed, and I watched for it, and it seemed like it just kept flashing, so I'm assuming, I don't know if a button could have been stuck or something.
okay. I'll check it out.
I'll check it on the way home, but
Yep, okay. And also, our street improvement project on the northeast side of the city, that is scheduled, we had a delay because We Energies gas main discovered a gas line that was too shallow. And so even though they knew about our project for a year now, just made this discovery, and so we're, of course, at their mercy until they come and lower their lines, and so that's delayed the project by a few weeks, but it's been lowered, and so we're back up and running, and we expect curb and gutter to come in next week on Lakeview and Douglas, and paving the week after that, so we're hoping to get it wrapped up by the end of September. Otherwise, I'm not gonna say nobody's ever complained, but I haven't gotten any complaints from any of the residents.
Can I ask one question? And this is just because somebody asked me about this a couple of weeks ago. Is Jackson Street done?
Yeah.
It is. Because somebody asked me about 2 weeks, when we were going to get to that. And I thought that was done. And he lives right off of it. I don't,
Yeah, it's paved. I don't know if there's any punch list items on it or not, but I can check that out as well.
okay. He may have, this guy has been somebody, every time he sees me, asks me about this. So maybe it was just a reaction by him.
Okay.
He just saw me
Yeah,
and said,
yeah.
okay, I got to ask about it.
But Jackson Street, yeah, we did do everything in our power to expedite it and get it completed before school started.
Okay.
They did it. All right, all right.
All right, any other comments, questions? Then seeing none, we'll move on to chairman's business. I'd have none, so move on to item 11, members liaisons business. Anyone have any business? Seeing none, move on to public comments and appearances. Any public comments and appearances? Looks pretty quiet out there. So we'll move on to item 13. The next meeting will be October 14th, 2025, tentatively at 5 p.m. Because we're apparently going to have a really rockin' presentation.
Yeah, so one of the recommendations of Senator Baldwin was to, and we had planned on doing this anyway, but she stressed that the need to make sure that we increase our public awareness of the Valley Creek project, and so we're pushing it a little bit to have a public presentation on the project. And so they have some typical sections and renderings, and they're working on a story map, and we have a pretty good budget for public information, so I'm eager to see what all of what Stantec will have prepared by the next meeting.
So is
So
it,
it's tentatively for 5 o'clock, so just kind of keep that in mind.
so it's a full-blown public information meeting along with it?
Yes, right. So public information meeting to be followed by a regular Board of Public Works meeting.
Okay.
So it'll be here. So we may move the actual meeting start time to 6, or we're still figuring on what that's going to look like. So, and if they're not ready, we'll have to postpone to November, but for now, we're planning on it in October.
Okay. All right. That'll move us to item 14, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Motion by Alderwoman Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Pauly. Any comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.